Now, we're back at the termite mound where we suspected that quarantine was. We did see a vehicle from Mala parked here this morning. Now, I'm not sure if anybody can see anything just yet. Can you see anything? Ah, look who we've got still sitting on the termite mound. Mr. Quarantine himself. Now, he hasn't moved much at all. He's moved from the right-hand side of the mound to the left. He has really just been following the shade today, and I don't blame him after being chased around by Nkanyeni this morning, but she is nowhere to be seen. So perhaps she was happy with him as he moved out of her territory and hopefully went back to find her cubs again. Now, he's giving a couple of yawns. Let's see if he grooms himself and perhaps if he's going to wake up. There we go. That's what we like to see. But now, Mr. Quarantine, we don't want you to go further south. We're actually viewing him from quite a distance. He's not on our traverse anymore. So let's hope that maybe he does come back across the side to have a drink at one of those pans on the big open plains. Can we try and zoom into his eye on his left eye? Has he got a cut under his eye? Is that as far as we can go? Like I said, we're far away. I'm trying to work out if it's just a spot pattern or if he's perhaps got a gash under his face. Can you see that under his left eye? If you're looking at the screen, it'll be on the right. No, I think it's just those beautiful markings. Sorry, that for a moment looked like a gash. Now, it seems as he's come out unscathed, and it looked like Nkanyeni got a little bit of a hiding with her gashes. And of course that makes sense because Quarantine was well more than double her size from what we saw today. And he's really turning out to be a beautiful leopard. Remember, in the beginning this morning, we almost had our doubts as to who he was. Let's see if he comes back. Don't go further into Mala. Please don't, big boy. Oh, he's just laying down again. Let me go forward. So, Darby, there's another gap. I don't know what's that like. Must I go forward? More? Oh, no. Okay, we're just trying to work it out how we're going to do this. We're going to go back. And we're going to go slowly just until David says he's got a good view. Now, this is a little bit more. No. I think we're going to have to get him through there, hey? Now, I know that this is not the greatest view. Of course, we've got lots of trees and leaves and things covering his face. But perhaps he'll get on moving again. He's moved once. He seems to be itching towards the end of the shade. Perhaps he's just working himself out to face the heat of the day. But he looks relatively well fed. He doesn't look particularly thin, and from what I understand, he seems like he's quite a successful boy. But he is looking lovely. I think this is definitely going to be a leopard to watch out for in the next couple of years. I mean, if he's sort of this size at 4 years old, he obviously seems to sort of slim down when he stands up. He's not as big and as stocky as Tingana just yet, or Mvula. But I'm very impressed that he is almost 4 years old, and he looks like this already. And doesn't seem to be too bothered by the flies like we saw Tingana was yesterday afternoon. He was almost having a complete meltdown and swatting the flies, trying to bite them. Whereas Quarantine seems to be a little bit more relaxed. Just the occasional sort of tail swat. He shakes his head and just tries to bite the flies.
No, I think if we go back.
Do you think we'll go? So David said he thinks if we can go back a little bit more, we might even get a better view. But let's try this again. Well, we'll see. We may have to push Wendy backwards. Right, let's try this again. That good? Oh, there we go. Well done, David. That's an even better view. But he's quite far from us. He's probably about 70, maybe 80 meters away. Like I said, he's right at the edge of the shade now. He's moved off that termite mound. And now we can only just sit patiently and see what he does next. Oh, and I was trying to have a look at what caterpillar it was that I found today, that bright green one. So thank you for sending all those screenshots through. I had a look, but it was quite tricky. I don't have a butterfly and moth book. I've ordered one, and I'm just waiting for it to be delivered. And I'm not sure, still uncertain as to what it could be. I looked at the sorrels, but they don't really occur up in this area, but their caterpillar looked very much like that. It could be one of the Acrea butterflies, which is a very large family, and they've got a variety of different ones. So I still have to get back to you on our little green friend. Now, it would help if we found them on whichever plant that they would be feeding on. That would help immensely. But I shall let you know as soon as I figure out who it is. Perhaps I will have to borrow Steph's book. Now he's gone flat. Now, you can see he seems to have gone back to sleep for a little bit. And Donna, you're wondering if we have any updates on Sindile. So I haven't seen Sindile yet, but I know that he has had his collar removed, and how exciting is that? Remember, we said we were going to do that as soon as it was possible, and they have indeed taken it off. And I believe he was seen around in Coral and on Cheetah Plains very briefly, I think a few weeks ago, maybe a week or so ago. But I haven't seen him for a very long time. I think the last time I saw Sindile was down in the south, in the southern sands, very far from home. But I think he's up and moving around in the area somewhere, and I'm sure he will probably pop around, hopefully soon. It would also be quite nice to see how big he's getting. You can see the wind is now starting to pick up again. There's a bit of a haze in the sky, which is good for us. Hopefully there will be a bit of cloud build-up a little bit later. Now I'm very thankful for this breeze now. Beautiful big sleepy leopard. And we probably will just spend a bit of time with Quarantine and see if he does decide to wake up. Hopefully the flies bother him enough that he does start moving again. And like I said, from here, the closest watering hole is actually on Cheetah Plains side, so hopefully he will decide to come back across here. You can see him breathing quite quickly though, trying to cool himself down. It's really beautiful out here this afternoon. Doesn't seem to be too much around though. I'm just sort of scanning the area as Quarantine sleeps. I can't even see Impala out on the plains. I don't even see Norman, the GNU just yet. Perhaps we'll come across some more buffalo in the watering holes cooling off. But I think what we'll do is I think we'll sit here for a couple more minutes, and then I'd like to go and do a little loop and just check the watering holes just to see if there's perhaps anything in them or anything coming down to drink, and then we will come back to Mr. Quarantine. Because at the moment it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Now, something that we were talking about this morning is the various identifying features of the leopards. Actually, we've been chatting about it now for quite some time. And thank you, Debbie. And I know someone else mentioned it this morning as well, on that beautiful landing strip that you are able to identify Quarantine with on the back of his rump. Let's see if we can get another view. And I think that that's quite unique. Remember, I sort of described him as a jaguar. There you can see, if you follow the top of his tail, and you follow it all the way towards the vertebrae on his back, you can see those sort of row of spots that have almost looks like they're about to join together. And I think that that is quite unique and it's quite lovely. Now, Kathy from Tennessee, you've asked a wonderful question this afternoon. You want to know, because quarantine is related to Karula and a couple of other leopards in the area, will there be other leopards that will try to push him out, or is there not really a worry about inbreeding? Remember now, inbreeding is common with the cats. It is normal for a couple of generations. He's looking up, he's listening to the other vehicle that's coming on around. And it's all right. I think for the moment, I mean, it's quarantine, and then of course his older brother Shavambalana that seem to be in this area. Sindile is a little bit too young, so he's going to have to live in and amongst the various females and other males' territories, I think, before he sort of finds himself. And I don't think Tingana and Mvula really come this far, so for the moment he'll be all right. I think the only competition he's going to really have is against his brother, who seems to be in the area occasionally too. But for now, he's fine. And it won't be too long before maybe he expands his territory slightly and then maybe he even decides to move out. Maybe he moves further south, maybe he moves further north or east. His future is uncertain. He's still a young, a beautiful leopard. But let's go back across to Byron, who has got a zebra, or even maybe a group of zebra, I'm not sure.